Here is Stefania Cassini, and you're watching Without Your Head.
For people watching, we are live, and we'll do an intro here momentarily. Hope everyone enjoyed the movie. It's very cool to watch with everybody.
It was awesome. I had a lot of fun chatting with everybody during the movie.
Yeah.
That was my favorite viewing, definitely.
Oh, very good.
Very fun.
Yeah, mine as well. All right. I think he's posting. Yeah, we'll just go live. Right. Welcome to Without Your Head. We just did the live clickbait streaming. Now we're doing the Q&A. Everyone here is live. We'll be having a lot more people live, hopefully. But right now, I'm Nasty Neil. Who else do we have here? We have Amanda, who is, let's see here. I have the wrong name here. Colby Stewart. Do you go by Colby Stewart or Amanda Stewart?
I go by Colby Stewart now, but my legal name is Amanda Colby Stewart. That's fine.
So Bailey is here. Detective Frank Dobson, Seth Chatfield, who doesn't have a scarf. He does something around his neck. So
I have a big purple thing. It's just not. It's not a scarf. What can I say?
Right. We didn't have a scarf in the movie either, I guess.
Fair.
Yes. Jeremy Long, with the writers, co-writer with Michael. I've never met you before, so it's very cool to see you.
Great to cyber meet you.
Great. We have composer here, Catherine Capozzi. How do you say the last name? Did I say it correctly?
You did, if you were going to pronounce it in the Italian way, yeah.
I'm half Italian. So.
Oh, there we go. You got it.
Yeah. And it's good to see you again. I met you at a Boston Underground Film Festival.
That's right, when we were all able to socialize with each other.
Right.
That was a while ago.
It does seem
last
like
year.
Another lifetime.
Yep.
And, of course, the co-directors, Michael Epstein and Sophia Cacciola.
Hello.
Hello.
And we have like 4 more people who are supposed to be here, so I don't know if you're out there, people. Join us.
Yes. Sorry for the poor intro, but I was trying to get everything uploaded here. But I think we're streaming now live.
We're live.
Yeah. So everyone here, how did you, besides Michael and Sophia, how did you guys get involved in the movie?
I'll go first. I auditioned for it. I found the audition by myself on Actors Access, and I went in and I met them in a little casting studio in LA, and then I got a call back, and then from there they gave me the role.
What interested you about the movie, about the script?
I think I really liked the character of Bailey. I think that she was just a very interesting, dynamic person. And I think that the role seemed kind of challenging, even though it was a little bit similar to me. I hope I'm not as mean as her, but it was a challenging and fun role in my mind, and that's why I really wanted to do it. And I really liked the message of the movie as well, especially during our time right now. Yeah.
And how about you, Seth? I know you guys knew each other beforehand, worked together before.
I think this was the one where they had made it pretty clear that they weren't taking open solicitation, so of course I kind of made an open solicitation. It was like, I know there's probably not anything for me on this, but if it works out, and I believe, and Mike can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe what was happening is that Mike was going to play Dobson, is that right? And then was it me with a mustache that turned the tide? I don't remember what it was, or it was too much for him to do.
I thought you grew up just for the movie. You had that going on?
Timing.
Did you have a beard before and I told you had to shave it into a mustache?
Trying to do this. I've been trying to go clean shaven for so long because I just felt like I was relying on the facial prop in every film. But I got to say, you were totally right. I can't imagine Dobson without that mustache.
Because Seth had a beard. He stars in our previous film, Blood of the Tributes, which was the last film we shot in Boston before we moved to LA. And Michael really wanted to play that role, but it was such a big role that I was like, I need you behind the scenes with me to make sure this movie happens at all. So I squashed that, and it was kind of written with Seth in mind a little bit. So it just made sense to bring him out to do it. And for Amanda's role, we saw hundreds of people and picked Amanda from literally 500 people. So we only did 50 video auditions maybe, but then... we whittled it down.
What was it about her? What was it like? Hey, she's right for the role.
We got more than 700 applications.
Oh wow!
And then out of those, we asked for I think about 50 video.
Maybe? Yeah, and then we brought in maybe 8 people to the casting studio. Amanda, very intelligent, really got the role. Great actor. So like it just made sense. And there was really like we had a couple other people who were pretty good, but blew everybody else away.
We auditioned using the opening scene, I believe.
Yeah, it was an opening scene and a vlogger scene. So to be able to do both, like the ditzy vlogger and like a really serious crying scene was really important. And other people got one and not the other. And
so it was.
It ended up being an easy choice after whittling it down. And then, thank you for putting up with us because you didn't know us.
Was Michael upset he didn't get to play Frank, or were you relieved you didn't have to play in the movie as well?
Yeah, I mean, it would have been fun for sure, but Seth is better than I am. So
he is amazing in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it was the right choice. I don't regret the choice, even though it would have been fun to do. But
yeah,
I think
the movie, it's better that Seth did it.
But I'm very thankful because it's one of my favorite roles of my life. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then I got to, I wouldn't have been able to direct myself to say gaslight the fuck out of her. So,
You would never talk about that.
Yeah. I just emailed, Ryan was saying he was having trouble getting in. I just messaged him. I don't know where Brandi is, but she's supposed to be here too. So.
Yeah, I believe she said she's getting ready for the.
Oh, ready.
Zoom.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. We have big entrance.
Anyway.
I believe Ryan is here. He's about to be here.
Okay, yeah. But there he is. There's the guy.
Ryan? What's up, bud?
I don't know if he knows we can see him yet. So.
And he's
Ryan, we see you.
we can see us. Oh.
Hey. He has the Detective Frank mustache going.
He does.
I'm here. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Ryan. It's good to see you. So, Catherine, I know you have a history with Michael and Sophia. I guess people don't know that.
I know. It was. Yeah. We have a history. We go way back. From, oh, gosh, Darling Pet Monkey, even before that, like just from the Boston music scene. And then one thing led to another and kept leading to other things. And, from bands turned into movies. And so there we are. So I'm totally psyched and absolutely thrilled to be able to work with them, even though we're, I guess, on different coasts right now. But having the opportunity to work on all the films because I love everything they do. I mean, I think Mike and Sophia are super genius creatives. So I'm happy to be working with them.
Text in the mail.
Was that hard to?
Thank you. I didn't get the last one.
Was that hard to? I'm sorry. Was that hard to work together across the country?
No. Well, I mean, I'll say that.
For this.
She's here.
Oh, well, I don't know.
No. Hold on. I was sorry. I was there, but initially when Michael first put the movie together, I'm going to talk with my hands because that's the Italian coming out. He sent a list of like the Spotify list of like things that might be musically influenced, for the movie and score, and then some ideas. So we were going back and forth with some ideas that never made it into the movie, but I was like trying ahead of time for some stuff. But then when I arrived in LA, I think we had one meal and then I was handed a keyboard and that was it. So we were in lockdown. So
I think we pretty much worked nonstop for
a week anyway.
It was 9 days.
We took you almost nowhere fun.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see the last hours I was there. We got to go to the Getty Museum and I saw the Hollywood Cemetery. Next time I come, I want to go to Disney.
Oh shit. Wow.
Just prepare.
3.
Like 10 years when it's open.
Yeah, I know. Whatever. When the virus is gone.
Yeah. So, Jeremy, co-writer. So, how did that come about?
I
have flies on my.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad Brandi just joined because she found me originally. I forget how, and asked me to write a script based off this idea that she had, and so I kind of took it and ran with it, and then when I was done, I didn't hear anything for like over a year until Michael and Sophia reached out to me, like over a year later, and said that they were making a movie.
Want to introduce? We also have Ryan James Hilt with us, who is Chase. Good to see you.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. And Brandi Aguilar.
What's up?
It's good to see you.
Fun.
Yeah. So, well, we're asking everyone how they got involved. So, Brandi, how did you get involved?
I actually met Jeremy because he put out a casting call for an audition, and we became fast friends. And I always had this idea in my head I'm not very much of like a screenwriter. I can screenwrite comedy skits, but screenplays, I'm not too trained in. And I saw that Jeremy had a lot of talent. And so I was like, Jeremy, I have this idea, put it on paper. And he did an excellent job. And then I met Michael and Sophia online, and they loved the script, and they did some rewrites, and it was a go. And it turned out beyond, I think, everyone's expectations. It turned out so freaking awesome.
Yeah, everyone loved it in the group watch tonight. That was a lot of fun. I'm glad everyone joined in.
Yes. Turned out so good.
Yeah. Now, Ryan, you were also a favorite here in the group watch. How did you get involved?
So I actually filmed a movie with Michael a couple months beforehand, and we spent hours in rehearsal together. So I got to know Michael pretty well. We had a very funny scene where I bully him, basically, and we had a great time filming that. And he called me a couple weeks later and said, I got a part for you in a movie, and the rest is history.
Yeah. It's always fun to see Michael bullied, I think.
That's
Always.
popular.
It's
very popular.
I think Ryan's Tootstrudel ad is the best one in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Is it?
Wasn't it the first one? Was it?
It's not the first
like a
one.
Baby song?
That happened. I thought it was the first one that happened.
No, Ryan was just being his funny self, kind of fucking around. One of the things, I guess I'll talk about it a little bit, but the character Chase in the script is kind of like a nerdy loser dude, and because like in a lot of movies when they cast women in like nerdy roles, it's always like a very attractive woman who you don't really believe is like nerdy at all, or a loser.
Throw glasses.
Yeah, right. So we wanted to make sure to cast the Chase role with somebody who you wouldn't think of as like a standard kind of dork character. So Ryan came to mind for that. We were considering him for the other role, for Braden as well, and then we were like, it's funnier, put him in that. And I talked to him about it, and he was game for it. And he's a funny guy. He's a lot of, you all know from working with him, but a lot of good, great humor and personality. And so on set, he was just goofing around, and I think you saw it.
I think we were setting up something in the basement to like shoot one of the car scenes, and I came up, and Ryan's just entertaining everybody with this Tootstrudel song, and I was like, all right, stop everything. We have to film this against this shitty white wall, because that's where it was happening. Because it was so funny. And also, there's a deleted scene. I think it's on the Streaker website too, where like you were doing like a paper rose or something. And I also just like you were doing it, so I just grabbed you and filmed it. It was like we always want to be. If it's an indie production, we're on our own time. So it's like if something funny is happening, just grab it, and then makes the magic.
I don't think I remember what this Rose video is.
It's a deleted scene on the Blu-ray. I'm pretty positive, right?
Oh, I don't think I've
like toilet paper, and you were making a rose out of it.
Oh, I remember okay, now I remember.
If you go to Streaker.com, I believe it's there.
It is there.
It is.
Yeah.
It's on Streaker.com.
How many?
We were actually going to shoot a lot of the videos that ended up in the movie. We were shooting with the idea that they might just end up on the website on Streaker. But what happened was that they were funny and we wanted to put them in the movie. So
yeah, so a lot of that was in the edit too. It's like, we thought it was funny to keep building the Tootstrudel's mystique, and so like later after principal shooting, we shot the infomercial, and we just shot with Matt and just kept adding more and more Tootstrudel's jokes. So.
Yeah. Did you expect that to be such a big part and to take off? Like after the movie came out, people like it, and I have some Tootstrudels right here.
Nice. Limited edition Toot Strudels we made for one screening at the Boston Underground Film Festival because they kind of demanded it. And so like we were like printing them at Kinko's and like slapping them on off-brand Pop-Tarts. But I think because we all found it so funny, like initially it was literally just the box just to be in the kitchen, not featured at all, just as a product, you know, because we're not going to use a real product. So that was it. It wasn't even supposed to be picked up or anything. It's just a prop. And then like everybody had so much fun with it on set, so we just kept filming it. And then later in the edit, like I was saying, we kept adding more.
We kind of knew we might use some of it, but we didn't know the degree to which.
Certainly when we showed up on location, it was just a prop. That's it. Like it wasn't talked about. It wasn't anything.
Yeah.
So.
I wrote down some. Go on. Sorry.
I was just gonna say one of the things we did actually, like we had scenes. So somebody's. Can everybody mute if you're not talking? Because there's somebody like really clipping bad over stuff. One of the scenes we did. We had scenes of characters that were being developed more, like the secondary characters. We had more little development scenes that were then cut out of the movie. You know, we were using them only to show a little more personality for those characters. And we instead decided that it was funnier to use the Toot Strudels ads as the way of giving a little more insight. So like Ryan's character, he had another scene with Professor Vargas, and there were other little like scenes that we ended up cutting and kind of replacing with the personality developments that we thought were shown in those Toot Strudels ads. We thought that was a better way to craft the movie. Yeah. You know, sometimes you look at the movie and you're like, what works, what doesn't work, how do we make this better, how do we shape it, and how do we keep it kind of streamlined? And so that was one of the techniques we used. Yeah.
Now I wrote down some things from the chat that people were saying, and a lot of people mentioned this, but first was Joe Niebla. He said, "I love how both characters are so annoying and still likable." You know, and that's Bailey and Emma. And you know, that's a big part of the movie. Is like, you know, you think maybe they don't even like each other, but that I think in a different movie you would like wonder why they're even friends, but it comes across that they do have a good friendship, even if they can annoy each other.
They do. They kind of feed off each other, and I love the scene where Bailey you see a side of Bailey where she takes this really seriously, and you just see that very vulnerable side of her. And we had. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I definitely agree. Like, I think it's definitely funny to have like the high and low in the comedy situation of having like the character of Bailey who seems like a little more, maybe not intelligent, but just more like together, and Emma who seems a little bit crazier. And I think like the contrast is really funny. So it was fun to do those different things and have like to work with someone that's completely different than your character.
And I gotta say, me and I felt the on-screen chemistry every time we filmed. It was immense for me. I really fed off her, and it was just amazing. Just sometimes with other actors, you just don't have the on-screen chemistry, but I would say my on-screen chemistry I felt with Amanda was right on.
Yeah. Michael said in the chat that he made you guys do a lot of the dialogue, like many takes. Like, do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
but
it definitely got frustrating for some scenes, but it definitely paid out in the end, and everyone got what they wanted, and everyone was happy. So.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think we had a lot of conversations in the beginning about the characters, and I know especially I remember like discussions about Bailey in the beginning were really like, we want to make sure this character is liked, because you as a viewer need to be able to watch this and like not just hate the character, right? I mean, if you can't relate to the character, if you can't find anything about the character to value, then the movie doesn't really work. So it's a complicated line to walk when you have all these. I mean, all three leads have. Let's say they have flaws. Like, I don't know the way to put it, but I think, I mean, my sense is that they all kind of worked enough that there are aspects of them that you like enough, or that you find worthwhile enough to go along for the ride with it. And I hope that is true. And even I know Dobson is maybe the least likable character, but somebody in the chat, I think Deborah in the chat was talking about how she found his goofiness, likable enough to go along for it. And then at the end, you kind of do feel. I hope that you kind of feel like there is some tragedy in the ending, right? He's an asshole, but like, does he deserve to have his heart ripped out? Probably not.
Someone in the chat said that Seth somehow made a white douche seem likable.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
So now you've been watching stuff, do you think about growing the mustache back?
Where's Matt, by the way?
We don't. I think it's perfect for the character. It's a lot of fun, but no, I think I'm all right without it. I think Ryan's totally
back to the stash.
That's all right.
Yeah, it's still working. So yeah, when you mentioned earlier about Ryan's, I think it's one of the later ones that you guys used for the Toot Strudel, that it was just something he was doing, and then Sophia grabbed the camera and started to record him.
I don't think that there was one take that anyone was hysterically laughing during that. We were all trying so hard not to laugh when Ryan was filming those. We were like someone was making noise in the back because we couldn't hold our laughter. It was so hard.
Catherine, how about to make kind of the theme for Seth's character? What was the thought process there? I guess.
I think we said something. Oh wait, am I muted? No, I'm unmuted.
No, you're good.
Goofy, something goofy, and kind of because when he comes in, it's a short entrance when he comes in, so it had to be, something like driving, but not. I guess not too much. So I think, that was kind of I guess the idea was just to kind of make it funny, but driving kind of frantic.
Are you talking about when Seth shows up?
Yeah, when he first comes in.
You're just talking about the first entrance.
The first entrance, yeah. So the first entrance.
Here he is.
Oh.
All right. Anyway, that was that was the idea behind that. I think when we sat down to do it, it was be crazy, be frantic, kind of all over the place, little pumping, steppy, that kind of thing. So
yeah.
Disco, I think.
I believe Matt is with us. Matt Stuertz. I think. Well, he's with us. I don't know if we're with him though, but Matt.
Behold, he is with us.
Matt's a camera guy, not an audio guy, so.
Fair enough.
Where does it sound?
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I would say, I did want to say, Matt, I believe in the chat he said that it was his first time seeing the finished cut of the movie.
I think I am. Can you hear me?
Hello, there he is.
Yeah.
Good to see you again. I saw you in February.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Yeah, we hear you.
We can hear you.
Good.
Welcome to the party.
Flawless, I believe here.
This is
But yeah, Matt said that it was his first time seeing it finished. Had anyone else not seen it finished before?
My audio was coming in super lagged, but now I think it's working.
Working.
Okay, sweet.
Hello. Well, I hope we're answering everyone's questions here. Matt, can you hear us?
It's audio not good.
All right, well that's unfortunate.
Now I can hear you though.
All right. So this was your first time seeing the movie finished?
Yeah, it was. It's I like it a lot better with the final music, which is amazing.
That's always good if you like it better when it's finished.
Oh yeah.
I liked it better when it wasn't quite done.
When it
wasn't edited.
Yeah. The last thing I saw, all of those little Toot Strudel bits, I think weren't even fully in there and stuff.
Wow. How did you get involved? Was this the first movie you worked with Michael and Sophia?
Yeah, this is the first thing I worked on with them, and it was the first thing I worked on in LA even.
Wow.
But yeah, I met the two of them at a film fest in New York. we both had films up there, and then we sort of just became friends. And then a few years later, I moved out here. And then, yeah, it was like I'd heard a little bit about the movie when it was about to happen, just at like screenings and stuff. Like Mike would sort of tell me about it. And then sort of jumped into it maybe like a week before, or like a couple days before.
I think Matt basically, am I muted? Matt basically was like, oh, you guys want me to come take photos or hang out and help out or whatever? And then I was like, yeah, do that. And then like the second day you had your camera there and you were filming with us. So because the way we were shooting it, it was very like sitcom style for a lot of it, where it was just 3 cameras wide and side shots on everybody. So it made sense once we had Matt and there to just keep shooting 3 cameras for a lot of it. So it was like unplanned in a way, but it worked out really well.
See, Bob Rose said in the chat, the wardrobe is pretty stellar. I didn't see if the costume person is on here, but well done.
Thanks. It was definitely a combo of like finding the stuff and then also people's own wardrobe that they brought that I would be like, yes, that works. Like a lot of Amanda's clothes was Amanda's clothes. That princess dress I had to have like overnighted from like an Etsy sale. It made it just in time for the Halloween party. So yeah, it's fun. I always do the costuming in our movies. I find it really fun. And I'm very picky about what's on screen. So that goes right down to mustaches and costumes. So
yeah. I saw Brandi mention that she liked the wardrobes in the movie too when we were watching the movie.
Yes, I loved the purple dress that Amanda wore. When I first saw that dress, I was like, oh my God, that is the cutest dress ever. The color and everything and the cut, I was like, I would wear that. I would totally wear that.
Yeah, and a lot of people are asking about Toot Strudel shirts, which I know you guys have for sale. And the tuba. A lot of people like the tuba during the Professor Vargas scene.
Yes,
so that'd be Catherine's decision.
I think we said, well, I mean, because we wanted that to be a little goofy. And so it was like, how about tuba? I think Sophia was hesitant about that when we first put it up. She was like, tuba, but then I think it grew on her, so it got to stay. But
when we score, a lot of the times if we're working with Catherine, Catherine and I sit in a room and work through it, which is mostly like, to be honest, so I don't oversell my role. Mostly I just say, do a cool thing, and then she does. So it's more her creation than mine. But for that, we often use references. So we'll say like, what are we going for with the scene? Let's watch these other movies that have these kinds of things in them. And I think I mentioned in the chat, but for that specific role, I really love the Bulk and Skull music from Power Rangers. If anybody is familiar, it's like like this weird little like theme that they have. The 2 like idiot characters from Power Rangers. Whatever.
I remember.
Yeah. So anyway, so we listened to that a bit, and we're like, let's do a tuba thing that's kind of like has that feel of the like idiot characters, you know, the bumbling, the kind of bumbling characters. And I will say, Chase was supposed to be kind of nerdy, but Ryan added a lot of the bumbling, like in the classroom when he was like it killed us when Ryan was getting up and tripping over the desk and all that stuff. That was all like really Ryan's contribution to it, and it really helped the character come alive, and that really drove us to push the music.
Yeah, it's a pretty sweet laugh too.
When Michael and Catherine are working on stuff, I'll like come through and be like, "It's fine." Like that's like my highest level of praise.
Now we know. Oh my God, she likes it. She really likes it.
It's fine, you know. But the tuba is definitely like, I don't know. This is too far, but I did come around. I came around.
Well, how about the laugh? Where did the laugh come from, Ryan?
Honestly, it kind of came from like years of one of my favorite characters, honestly, being like the Joker. So I've been like working on different laughs for myself for like since I was a kid, because I just love that character so much. So it was just kind of just one of the many laughs I've worked on. He said he wanted just a funny, unique laugh, and that's the one that I ended up kind of going on. But it just comes from years of just like loving the character.
Yeah.
It was important, obviously, because the laugh is like the whole mystery of the movie, right? The whole clue that solves the movie is the laugh. And so we basically just said to Ryan, like, come up with a cool laugh, and then he brought it the first day, and we're like, awesome, that was it. No, I don't think we had any guidance or anything. I think it was just there. And a lot of people have asked me because the clown thing,
the skeleton.
The Grim Reaper thing. Yeah, sorry, not a clown. The Grim Reaper thing laughs the same way as he does. And they were like, oh, did he imitate the laugh of the thing? I'm like, no, we took his laugh and processed it and made it the laugh of the Grim Reaper. So, so Ryan basically is responsible for all the laugh sounds. And when it's the Grim Reaper laughing, that's all him as well. Just processes it.
Very good. The creator of the laugh.
Creator of the laugh.
Yeah. Colby, how about the scene where you have to spit blood into, which is used a lot throughout the movie in reverse, and
blood? Yeah. The blood actually tasted better than Toot Strudel.
It's a ringing endorsement. Yes.
That was like one of my favorite scenes to shoot, and I know that Michael was making sure that I was super comfortable the entire time that I was doing that because I was in the shower and such. But it was so much fun. Like the blood part was so cool. It tasted like syrup, like sugar syrup. That made my mouth all red too, which kind of looked insane. But that was definitely one of my favorite things. And I also love that line where I say, "Why does it say doppelganger? That's dumb." Like I think it's so cool that I break like character out of what's going on, and I don't know. It is one of my favorite scenes that I actually filmed on it, so it was really cool.
Yeah, and it's cool that it's used. I like the reverse shots it's used throughout the movie. Yeah,
I like that it keeps going back and forth too. I thought that it was just going to be like only at one part, and then I didn't realize that they were going to keep like using it again, which was cool.
Again, that's a lot of that's crafted in editing. So I mean, I think it was written in
at least twice. Yeah.
With the dialogue, but then as we're crafting and editing, we're deciding like how to make that scene work and what we want to do with it and what we're trying to accomplish and how to. I mean, to me, everything in the movie has to drive the themes of it. And so to me, the main theme of the movie is how we're all basically complicit in the way that media, the way we consume media drives how media is made. So if you have people seeking fame in ways that are not great, it's really driven by all of us as consumers supporting that. So we really wanted to use that scene as a way of showing all the characters being complicit in the actions of the kind of murdering her in the shower, all that stuff. And so it just made sense to kind of add more and to do different crafts in different ways. So yeah.
And it goes with Brandi's dialogue near the end, which she says everyone loves Bailey and hates Bailey.
Right.
We got a few questions. Brian Avenant Bradley wants to know if the blood was Dick Smith's formula for the blood.
It was just, I forget what brand, but it's the brand that you can put in your mouth. But it is like corn syrup based. Yeah.
He also wants to know Catherine and Sophia, I believe, talk about Night Kisses, its origins, and Sophia singing. He loved it. And was it recorded before the movie?
Oh, wait, are you talking about the last? Is he talking about the last song?
The song, I believe, yeah.
Oh, well, I think Michael was working on something, and Sophia and I were going to do the end song while we sat down, tried to, come up with something. Because there was one song, the perfect song that was at the end, when she's running for, trying to save, do the end scene there. And so when we sat down to try to do a song that was kind of similar, but, not quite that.
Tempo.
Yeah, we said in tempo. And so then, we came down. I said, we wrote it, except there was one, I will never forget. There was one, the guitar solo in that song, there was an odd number of measures. So I was like, so Michael kept saying, no, every time I did it 100 times. And I was like, I know how to play guitar, but there's something not right here. And he was like, well, you guys came up with that number of measures for this particular part. It was probably, yeah. And I was like, and I felt like it was okay at the time, but I was like, why can't I would play it all the way through, and then it would get to like the last measure and it wouldn't fit. And I was like, I don't understand. Then Michael's like, maybe you want an even number of measures. And I was like, okay, maybe that might work. And then it did. And I was like, all right. Then I didn't feel like such an asshole who couldn't play guitar. Yeah. So then it was like, okay, it was good. But anyway, that's kind of how that song came. I mean, I love the song. I think it's really fun. And it's,
Cool. Yeah. I think Night Kisses is like the umbrella name of our collaborations on our soundtracks. So for all of our feature films that we've worked on with Catherine, it's done under Night Kisses. Though I do have a plan that I need to talk to Catherine about to like do other music under that name with Catherine. But anyway, for that
Separate.
movie, I wrote the Hollywood song and we wrote the end song specifically for the movie. But Michael snuck in a lot of our other bands. So like Pet Monkey, Do Not Forsake Me, My Darling. They're all like kind of in the soundtrack, like where we could not have to fully score something or a song worked better. So I'm actually singing in the movie a lot, like in Matt's scene where he's eating Meredith's chest cavity. Like that's just one of my old songs. But Night Kisses is our soundtrack band. And so yeah, just like we've been collaborating on music for so long that it's just
Forever, since I was really young, actually.
I mentioned in the chat, I mean, I'll say very, very briefly, I mentioned in the chat, for anybody who doesn't know how movies are often made, the end sequence to me, I mean, it became my favorite part, but it's really important for the movie to work, for that end sequence to work, right? So we decided to shoot it as a music video. You know, we basically, Matt shot all that slow motion stuff. And so when I cut it to this song by the artist Licky Lee called Sadness is a Blessing. And I love the song. We reached out, I think it's like Sony or somebody, we reached out. And they wouldn't even like have a conversation with us about licensing. No, they wouldn't even talk about it. No, they wouldn't even talk about it.
Well,
they were like, we won't give you. Yeah, they won't give us a full deal on it. So, so we needed to come up with some other music for it. So I had the movie cut with that song in it, and we tried several aborted attempts to write a song that could replace it.
Just wasn't our style.
Yeah,
like what we wanted.
And so that Night Kisses song was one of the songs that we wrote to replace that, but it ended up not really working. We ended up getting that hero song, and then we could move that song into the credits. So that's the origin.
It works in the credits.
Yeah.
I know. Matt said this was his first time seeing it with complete and stuff. Seth, what did you think when you first saw the movie and your performance? You're there, but once you see all of it together, what did you think?
It was actually really, really an interesting process because there was a point where we sort of found out about the mass toot strudling of the which wasn't actually sort of it kind of like came in sort of halfway, and then there was more and more toot strudel content. I remember when we did the killer toot strudel content, it was just like I thought it was just like a fun joke we were messing around with. So there were a lot of things like I hadn't seen half of the film and didn't even know it. And there were things like the fact that my murder was broadcast in Times Square and around the world that I just I had no idea. I'm just like, I mean, it was a completely, some things you can see in your head and you're like, I know just what this is going to be. And sometimes it's that. And this was very different, but I couldn't have been happier. I was just like, this is one of my favorite projects. It's such a crazy, awesome satire. I love it.
Yeah. Brandi and Colby, when I had you on the podcast a few years ago, I don't think you'd even seen the finished movie yet. Did you ever get a chance to see it with an audience before virtually here tonight?
I saw it not with an audience, but I saw it before.
Yeah.
Tonight, yeah.
But you didn't get to go to any of the festivals or anything?
No, unfortunately not. I wasn't available to go to any of them. I really wanted to, though. They said they looked so much fun.
And I watched it with my family. They loved it. I mentioned earlier during the watch party that my mom loved the part where Officer Dobson says, were you in Nam? My mom laughed so hard at that. And my friend loved the ending.
Thanks, Brandi's mom.
I understand my mom watched it tonight too on her computer during the Facebook.
My mom's there too.
Hi, moms.
Hi, Moms.
Hello.
I think that's like an eternal failure of us as directors is that we didn't have a proper cast screening because we kept putting it off. And I'm just going to admit, like, we fucked up because we kept putting it off because we had plans for an LA premiere that ended up falling through. And we wanted everybody to see it for the first time at a premiere with a big audience. And that seemed like the proper way to do it. And then it just fell through and it never happened. And the movie ended up coming out. So that's on us. We suck. But this honestly was really special to me tonight to watch it with you all and be commenting. Cause like, it's a thing that, we missed doing. So
this was awesome. You guys tried really hard. Come on.
Yeah, you know, things were promised and fell through, and then we ended up getting distribution, and we ran out of time to do it.
What Sophia's trying to say is that making movies is a shitty idea.
I always hear this from Michael. It's a running theme, even though he somehow got me involved in making movies, and then he just keeps telling me it's a terrible idea.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Jeremy, were you on set during the filming of the movie?
As a pickle.
Oh, that's right. He's the pickle. Yeah.
I was in the pickle. I was two different days, right?
At least two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was the classroom. Because I reached out to Michael and asked if I could be like an extra or something. And then he threw me a line. He said, come be, because we did the classroom scene first, and then he said I could come be in the Halloween party. And I remember scrambling for the last minute to get that pickle costume. And then I was really happy because that was the same day that we shot the end sequence, and I was happy that I got to be on set to see that. So that was the 2 days I got to be on set.
Mm-hmm. Is there any deep meaning to the pickle costume? Did it represent anything for you?
It represents the fact that I had only a few hours to find a costume before driving to set, and I borrowed it from a friend.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, there's a funny, because you guys improvised, like we had dialogue that was in your scene at the door there, but then you guys improvised a bit, including, hey, did you see that poser carrot?
There's a carrot at the party.
There's a carrot.
And that girl that showed up in the banana costume, we didn't know her. She was just an extra that showed up. And so we're like, well, now you have a line so you can be with the pickle.
But I just want to say,
she was good.
The carrot is Izzy Lee, who was our AD on those days. That's her husband, Steve, who was in the carrot costume. And he gets a kick out of the fact that you reference him in that scene. So well done.
Yeah. Where was that party filmed? Was it like a real party going on, or?
I mean,
it was definitely not a
party where you're paid to be there.
There was pizza.
That's the only kind I go to.
No, that was it was a casting call where we told people they had to come with costumes that weren't like commercial entity, like they couldn't come as Captain America or whatever. And so we had people send in what they could bring and what they could be, and it was a combination of actual friends of ours and just random extras we never met before. And some of them were very annoying to Izzy, and mostly like Izzy was there to keep them away from us. It was very stressful because I was saying in the chat we had to shoot both the end sequence, all the torture with Bailey, the murder with Emma, and that whole party all in like 8 hours at this location in DTLA. It was a cool warehouse, had awesome views, so it worked out really well for both things, but we definitely should have split that into 2 days. It was just ended up being much more than we thought it would be.
For anybody who hasn't gathered, we had very little money to make this movie.
We self-funded this movie on our credit card. So
and we shot, the whole movie was really, I think it was 9 days of principal, really, it ended up being. I think we had 10 scheduled, but we managed to finish everything in 9. And then we had some pickup stuff, we shot some extra stuff. But yeah, everything is really, really tight and rushed. And so you're relying on everybody to just, bring their best, which everybody here did.
Yeah.
So
and luckily 3 cameras helped a lot, like I was saying before, especially, some of that party scene, it was like 3 units filming that party, even though it was like a tiny space we were in, everybody was shooting something else. In parts of it, so it was definitely very crazy.
Yeah. So Matt, this is the first movie you were part of since you moved out there. What was the whole experience like for you?
I mean, it was a ton of fun because everyone was like great to work with. I already loved Mike and Sophia, and it also most of the filming location was super close to my apartment, which was really nice. Like I think the first or second day I just like walked over to set because it was like a mile away or something. So that's always a plus. There's no travel time.
Yeah.
Well, that Airbnb was like a lucky find because I found it on Airbnb. I saw those hedges. We drove by it and we realized we could light outside into the house and nobody would be the wiser. And it was right in central Hollywood. So it was just so great. And I messaged them. I was like, can we film there? And they're like, yeah, do whatever you want. And I was like, okay, cool. I think we paid them a little bit more than the listing price, but they were really awesome about it. So that location was just so key, and it made those stalking scenes so cool because of coming around the hedges and stuff. So it worked out really well for a lot of reasons, not just for Matt's commute.
That was the main. Matt's commute was the main factor.
Paul, our other cinematographer.
I did appreciate that.
Paul, who also shot it with us, lived close enough that he went home at lunch to walk his dogs. So everyone was happy.
I still miss that place. I love that.
Yeah,
Was that Seth?
Brandi stayed there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Brandi, were you a poop or a turd?
I like to say poop. What was the line? Or poop is I forgot the line. But sorry, my Zoom got messed up. I think I pushed a button. Oh, sorry, everyone. Okay,
All right.
here we go.
I have a fly keeps landing on my camera and knocking it down.
I know, I saw you. I was like, oh, are you okay? Actually, the poop costume idea, that Halloween that year, I actually was a poop for Halloween. And so
I was too, actually, oddly enough.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it was literally a shitty Halloween costume. And so Sophia saw, because I posted on Facebook, I'm going to be a shit for Halloween. And she thought that was awesome. And so she put it in the movie. And when I saw the costume, I was like, that is so freaking good. I wanted to keep the hat. It was done so well.
You can have it. I still have it. Next time I see you, I'll give it to you. But it was just so funny. It was funny because for the Bailey's character, we just wanted her to be like kind of a generic princess thing, and we're like, well, what is a good contrast? And then we saw on your Instagram that you were a poop, and I was like, well, if you went out in public as a poop, you probably won't care that you're a poop in the movie. And it was just so funny to us.
Did not give a shit. Did not want to be at that party. So I was like, I'm just going to be a poop for Halloween.
Yeah, it really was. It really did solve a problem that we had with the script. We were working on that. It was like written in the script that it was going to be like some stupid costume. Like we didn't know what it was, and then we saw the Instagram.
Yeah.
One of my friends observed that every character is also an emoji.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Princess, poop, chop.
It is weird that poops have become cute. Like you could go buy poop toys and stuffed poops. And,
Faces.
yeah, it's an odd thing. But how about the opening scene with both Amanda and Brandi? Was that hard to shoot? I from understanding from the little chat there, it must have been pretty difficult.
Yeah, it was
was
extremely hard to shoot.
Was it the one? Oh, I'm sorry.
Who's going? Me?
Yeah, the opening scene when Colby's in front and you're behind talking.
Do you want me to talk? Do I go first?
Yeah, Colby.
Yeah, you go first.
Okay, I'll go first. I remember I had to keep my head in like one specific place the entire time, and I couldn't move because they were like, I think shooting on my like super like close up to my eye, and so I couldn't move. And I remember it being really difficult because I wanted to like interact with Brandi and like turn to her and talk to her, but like my natural reaction, it was just like, what are you talking about? But I couldn't. I had to stay there, so it was super hard for me to move. It was weird for sure.
We shot that with a split diopter, which basically means there's two focus points. So we had to put them in their exact positions where they're both in focus. So that's why, Brandi was easier because she was just sitting on the couch and kind of there was more focus over there. But where Amanda was, she just had to be very still. And if you went to the left or the right, you'd be out of focus. So your spot was very exact. And because of the tears, we didn't want to do that many takes. I think we ended up doing a couple, but you had to cry for each of them.
Yeah.
So, and then there was something on the lens, I think, for one of the ones we liked, and we had to go and shoot it another time, even when we had a good take, because there's smudge on the lens.
It was just the way the lighting didn't work out. Yeah. So we shot it 2 separate days.
Oh yeah, I forgot we did another day. Yeah.
Not used. Like one of them. We did it once, and we just because it's so important. I mean,
it's the opening. Yeah.
It's the opening shot. It lasts like a minute and a half or something, single shot. And to us, I know the movie is like a goofy satire. Somebody's still clicking, so can you just make sure to mute mics if you're.
I air conditioner. I'm so sorry.
Okay, just mute. Yeah, mute between.
Yeah.
Thanks. It's the opening shot in the movie, so it establishes, to me, like when you start a movie, again, it's goofy satire movie, but we're still pretty serious about like trying to be filmmakers and use like the language of film to tell the story. And so it's really important to us that opening shot establishes the relationship between the characters and the relationship the audience has with the characters. So we wanted basically Bailey to be looking, right at the audience. So like, you as an audience member are like being observed, like you're engaged in this thing. And we wanted her not really engaged with Emma on the couch, who's then studying and not really involved in it. So that visual, like we wanted to be as if you looked at one frame of that, you saw one frame of that, you could understand kind of something about their relationship. And the crying is really important. I think Matt actually said this, and I appreciated it. When I sent him the script to see if he wanted to be involved, I think that first line where, it's like all the crying and everything seems sad, and then she says, fun, that it like establishes what the movie is. Like it tells you the movie's not really what you expected from the opening part. So anyway, it's very important to us. So we shot it. We did a reshoot of it basically after the first time. It was good. It wasn't like it wasn't good, but it just wasn't fully what we wanted. Mm-hmm. So we made them suffer, and they'll tell you lots of stories about suffering. Everybody's very polite in public. So thank you. We appreciate that.
I'll get the dirt off the show.
Yeah. Can ask them privately.
Yeah. Matt, had you ever used I don't even know what it is, a split diopter before?
Actually, no. I think that was my first time. Honestly, it might be my only time I've ever used one. I can't think I've ever used one for another shot. But yeah, sort of echoing Mike's statements. Just like the whole setup for that, it was just crazy because like everything had to be so exact, and it was like a millimeter off from either of the actors, or if like the camera's not perfectly positioned, it like ruins the whole shot. But it turned out great though, so it's worth the pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. It probably took us like a half hour at least to just set up that one shot. But yeah, it was worth it for sure.
And poor number of tears. I still feel bad about the number of times you're like, okay, can you cry again?
I think we were giving you like the menthol stick at one point.
Mostly it was real tough. Like, I don't know if I could keep crying. I don't know.
I think Sophie came through with like a menthol.
Yeah, because after a while, it's like you can only cry so much.
You dry out.
Oh, it was emotionally draining. Also, like not being able to move. It was like just trying to like get your emotions to go. It's hard, like being so stiff and then trying to cry.
You had something you were listening to like right before.
Yeah, I was using like this video that I like have used before that I like has always like made me emotional, and so it was easier for me to get into that space. But that was definitely super helpful for me.
Now, Brandi, do you remember doing the scene?
I do. It was filmed at night, and I just remember that I had studied my lines like crazy before filming it. And then sometimes when I'm filming something, it could be either film or even on stage. When you actually perform it, like sometimes my brain, it's the weirdest thing, my brain just shuts off. And I think I remember specifically that day, filming a movie is so exhausting. It's so much fun, but it's also very physically exhausting. So there were a few times, and I remember specifically that opening scene, I kept going over that scene over and over. Seth was helping me, and for the life of me, it just wasn't sticking in my brain, and I was like getting nervous. I was like, I went over this scene millions of times at home. Why is it not sticking in my head right now? What is wrong with me? I think I was just tired for that day. And so Sophia came up with a good idea of taping the lines in the book, since I don't really have to look up anyway for my scenes. So I kind of cheated and just put index cards of my lines in the book I was reading and read the lines from there. Yeah, that was sometimes for me, sometimes learning or not, but like memorizing the lines sometimes is the hardest part for me, but I came up with a good solution for that since then. I've realized I'm more of an auditory memorizer, auditory learner. And for Clickbait, I would just read the lines over and over. But I downloaded an app now where you can hear the lines, and I memorize it so much better. So I think it was that, and I was tired that night. So, but it was a good scene. It came out so good. Amazing how she did that tear. That probably was super rough to do.
Mm-hmm.
It was high stress though, because we were saying like the camera, we were stressed with all the crying, and so I think like our stress like made you stressed, and so like it was definitely like it was hard to get it perfect, and it needed to be perfect for a minute and a half. So it was definitely like one of the harder things we shot.
Yeah,
because the tears are that you can only. It's basically like wait for the tears. Oh, we got.
Have a guess.
Oh,
is he coughing?
He's got a little thing where he coughs. It's okay.
Aww. I'm glad he's made an appearance here.
He's gonna have to take cough suppressant soon, but it's okay. It's okay.
I'm glad to finally meet him, even virtually.
He's not happy to be here.
Oh my God, he's adorable.
If we're not on the couch, he's angry with us, basically. So
well,
that's where we're.
Anyway,
at.
sorry for distracting you with dogs.
No, we're all happy to see them. Ryan, what's your background in acting? And do you do anything like filmmaking wise?
So my background, I came here from Chicago. I graduated from Columbia College Chicago with a degree in theater. I came out here 4 years ago, and this was actually one of the first films I did. Since then, I've done a couple films, but honestly, mostly commercial work is what's been paying the bills, and before coronavirus. But so I've just done a lot of that, and then I've also gotten on to writing since then as well. So I've been spending a lot of time writing, and especially right now, there's no acting in LA happening right now. So it's been good to go out in other creative outlets, and writing's been a great one for me as of late. So I've been really enjoying that, and just doing that thing, especially right now in quarantine, where
what kind of stuff? Like what genre of writing?
Right now I'm doing a pilot for a 1 hour drama. So it's having to do with a lot with like politically driven, but it surrounds basically a person who grows up to be a mass shooter and the victims of that person. So it's kind of like taking a different look at a really big problem in our country and trying to look at it from a different perspective, basically. So that's what I've been working on a lot in the last year, basically.
Oh, wow. Matt, in the chat room, you said that you loved shooting the first-person stuff. If you want to talk about that.
That's true. Yeah, just in general, I kind of love to do handheld type of work, which most of that movie was not, obviously. But whether it's like first person or if it's just like, I just like be able to use the camera as a character, sort of. So it's like, whether it's actually first person or it's just like moving with the actors in a way that like, if the camera does not sort of move with the same energy that they have, it doesn't work. It's just kind of my favorite style. I don't know, like just getting sort of more into action. It's also fun to do stupid, goofy hand gestures, as I did many times in that film.
Yeah.
It was important for us to have a big difference between the stalking and then like the sit down 3 camera on the couch scenes. So we wanted them to be very different. So we didn't want like handheld throughout. It was like very specific, like a character, like you were saying. And basically we were like, it's Giallo, put on this glove and walk around the camera.
Yeah.
So
someone mentioned in the chat, that was, I knew you guys would be happy that they asked if it was Giallo inspired.
I have so many Giallo films I want to film.
I'm wearing my January Giallo shirt.
I hate to admit it, I've actually not watched many Giallo films, and I don't know if Michael and
Well, I'm hanging up. I'm hanging up, leaving the meeting.
So, Jeremy, like, how close was what was filmed to like your original script?
The characters, a lot of the character stuff was there. Michael changed a lot. The ending is completely different. I know that for sure. Him and I had discussions about that. Michael, do you know?
Yeah, I think
the cops show up.
I mean, I think the big thing,
real cops came to the end.
It was very different. But yeah, the big thing was that, I mean, the big thing that attracted me to the script was like, I think Jeremy did a great job making the two, especially the two main characters. There were some other, some others as well, but like really establish the tone and the interactions between those two characters. So a lot of the scenes, a lot of that was, even if it's not the words, a lot of it is the words that were there, but even the parts that aren't the words that were there are really just extrapolations of what he had created with those two characters. So I think that was really important. And the whole torture scene at the end, believe it or not, the whole scene where they're interacting, but it's fake, is all, I think almost all stuff that Jeremy wrote. I think it's almost all what the original was. In the original script, it was actually, the kidnapping is real, basically. That's the big difference. So that, but all of that interaction is really the same as what was in the script. I don't remember, I have to sit down with it. It's not really important what the exact word changes are, but like I said, it's really more like the important thing was that the characters, their personalities, the interactions between them were established in that original script. And then so you're building up, you're taking that world and you're building from it. You're like, okay, we have a world, we have characters in that world, and how do I like add things to that? And so we do a lot of, we always do a million rewrites on everything. And I think, even if you were to look at the shooting script and the final movie, there's pretty big difference between the shooting script and the final movie, just from, what people on set brought in, all that kind of stuff. So, everybody has an important role in what the movie ends up being. Like none of it we never would have had this movie without every kind of stage along the way, if that makes sense. Is that a good description of it? Yeah.
Yeah, I because I wasn't on set too much either, just the 2 days I mentioned before, the first time I got to see it was at the world premiere at the Genre Blast Film Festival in West Virginia. And that was a lot of fun. But I was going in mostly blind because I knew that Michael had made some changes and without having been on set to see a lot of the changes and see what was shot. It was just, it was like almost like a brand new experience when I saw it for the first time, but I really love how it turned out.
Yeah. How about filming the final scene, Seth and Brandi and Colby? What was that day like?
It was awesome. It was so freaking cool. The only thing there were two things I remember. I think I stated it in the chat that we only had one chance to film that shot, that whole scene. Mainly because I don't think I had that polka dot shirt I was wearing. I don't think I had another one to change into to redo the scene again. So we had to get it perfect in one take. Because if we didn't, then we wouldn't have the ending scene. So the pressure was on, but I think we were just all up for it. And so we all gave it 1,000%. There was no other way we could have done it. We had to mentally be in, just those emotions and get in touch with those emotions. So we went crazy as crazy as possible. And it was a great acting challenge for me, but it turned out so good.
It was really interesting trying to get that all in one. There were a bunch of things like there was a moment where I had no experience with any camera at all, and there's a moment where I just had to grab the camera live and just walk it over and mount it perfectly, and then finish this thing, and then doing the. You remember that? That was pretty crazy.
Oh yeah, because it wasn't mounted at all. I walked over to it after the take, and it was just resting there. That's my actual camera.
Oh yeah,
it was fine. We actually used some of that shot because I had set the focus for the scene, and we did use that shot. Yeah. So good job.
So when it looks like the camera's being put down and it's shaking and stuff, that's
real.
That's
real.
What would happen.
A method actor. Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Telling me was really like it was. Oh my God! We had one chance, and I had one chance to spit blood through the Trump mask, one chance to do it, and it worked. I actually, and they everything was done super safely, and they had this big pad for me to fall because I had to fall on my knees, and I was just so in the moment, I actually missed the thing, but you just have to keep going. It was like a concrete floor to the kneecaps. It was kind of rough, but you just got to keep going. And we kept going, and it was amazing. And then of course I'm out of it for the part where Brandi is just completely, going, just completely going mad. And seeing that later is pretty interesting too. So you guys were good. I don't know.
Yeah, it's an amazing scene. Colby, do you have any memories of that scene?
I just remember screaming a lot. That's all I really remember. I remember screaming a lot. And I remember I had that extension cord around my waist. And I remember having to pretend to like unravel it, but actually I could just take it off in 2 seconds. Because there was like a certain amount of time where she had to do her whole thing, and I had to like come and grab her. But yeah, I remember a lot of screaming. Lots and lots of screaming.
I said in the chat that I was scared that the police would come, but then I remember we're in downtown LA, so no cares.
Like basically above all the fashion clothing stores, and then there's a part where it cuts to Ryan. I mentioned in the chat, but you're literally like tears are crying as Brandi's murdering Seth. And it's like one of my favorite spots in the movie because it's like you just look so sad. It looks so genuine,
I kind of said in the chat too, but like a lot of times things aren't really intended to go in the movie. Or like I didn't expect to cut to a shot of Ryan in that moment, and we didn't expect to have Matt do like an extra toot-strudel thing. But what happens is people like earn their spots, like they do something that's special in the moment when they don't even think, like people don't even think they're on camera, but they really earn their spot in, getting a little more focus. And I mentioned this in the chat as well, but like one of my favorite things about editing a lot of the dialogue scenes was that Colby would be like doing eye things or little gestures off, like kind of, it was a fight between, Detective Dobson and Emma, and you see Bailey in the corner kind of reacting knowingly because she's aware of what's happening in reality. And really, I think like those moments are really, to me, make a movie like so much better. And and I really made sure to try to use as many of those as possible. And I think you don't notice them until you watch couple of times. You start to see those little eye things and those little, it's a special contribution. It's a sort of a special acting contribution that I think, a lot of you all brought to this. And I'll say also with that ending, since I'm throwing compliments out, a lot of times with actors, you're like, okay, we need you to do something like really intense and crazy. And somebody will be like, yeah, woo. And you're like, okay, like 10 times as much. And I will say that with Brandi, we're like, we need you to go a little crazy there. And we were all like just scared of her. We were like, I was like, maybe not that crazy, but it's good for the movie. Yeah, it's good for the movie. Yeah. For my safety, I was like, don't hurt Seth.
I know, we were like, Seth might die.
And I mentioned it too in the classroom scene where she faints into the body. That's the kind of thing where it's like people don't sell that. And you're like, I don't want you to slam your face into a thing too hard, but like you also have to sell it. A lot of times people don't sell falls or punches or other things. And so immediately the first, I don't even think you were on camera. The first time we're shooting it, it was just like, boom, right into the body. And I'm like, all right, I guess we got it. So everybody did their part to add little textural things or add little moments to the movie. So, we appreciate that. It makes us look better, basically. Looks like we did more work than we really did.
I definitely thought I was going to die for real. Thank you for not actually killing me.
We're glad that you're with us here.
Yeah, we're glad you're still with us, Seth. We love you.
So that wasn't Seth's real entrails used in the movie. He's not filled with like stuffed insides and rubber. Yeah.
Funny story. No.
Which, by the way, I'm a big fan of the fake innards and the big rubber mouths and. Cool. That's totally my sense of humor.
Sometimes people complain though, like the effects are fake. It's like do you not
really? Wow, I didn't know.
Did you watch the movie? Do you know? Whatever.
Yeah. That mouse legitimately in The Office. I'm just saying that was not the same.
It probably is. It's like the one you can just buy.
It's like a warehouse episode. I'm telling you, it's there. Yeah.
We also, when we were buying the heart, there was like the option for the real human-sized heart and the one that's like 3 times as big. And we were like, get the 3 times as big heart. Like, we're not going for realism. This is not a realism movie. This is, it has a certain feeling to it. I mean, honestly, that scene at the end, I feel moved by the moment where, Emma is like taking the heart. We're like, rub it on your face, like hug it, do all kinds of stuff. Really love it. And then, Bailey comes and like tackles her to try to like, I mean, it's way too late to save him, but you have that moment where she's, I don't know. I feel like that it's like the scene, it's such a line. And we've seen lots of different reactions. Some people find the ending like really humorous in the sense of like, it's so over the top that you react with laughter. And some people do find it like more emotionally moving. And I'm fine with either reaction. Satire is a fine line.
Now, Brandi, which is, I don't know if harder is the right question, but which is harder for you to do, like the more emotional scenes or the over-the-top stuff like killing Seth?
Probably the emotional scenes. I think mainly because my personality in real life is very like animated and whimsical anyways, so it's easier for me to tap into the over the top scenes, like screaming or just acting like psychotic. When it comes to emotional scenes, I kind of have to tap into a different part of my brain and think of what I do is I just think of things that have made me emotional in the past. There was one scene where I was telling Bailey that I forgot. I think it was where I was telling Bailey how much she means to me and that I don't want to lose her as a friend. And I just thought, of my close friends, how, I wouldn't want to lose them. So you just have to kind of relate it to a real life situation or a potential real life situation. And but at least for me, I use a different part of my brain for that. But if I have to go over the top or act psychotic, that's for me, it's easy. It's like second nature.
Mm. Catherine, I want to know which of the toot strudels would you try?
The eggplant one.
I agree. The eggplant. You got eggplant parm. You stuff it in a.
That's what I was thinking. I don't know.
I don't know why that appeals to me, but I think it.
That was the one that appealed to me.
Too.
Yeah.
The Italians.
The Italians. And my cat just made an appearance too.
Oh, sorry.
He's begging for food and he's not getting any more tonight.
All right, fair enough. Ryan, do you have a favorite toot strudel?
I mean, I just love them all, so much. I wake up every morning and I have 3. One of each flavor.
All right.
Because I can't make the choice. How you got the celery and you got the eggplant is really sometimes really hits the right spot and you just can't get past it. And then all of a sudden celery comes back and you're like, wow, this really just blew my mind.
Matt, do you have a favorite toot strudel?
Well, I did the toot strudel test as we were watching the film, and nuclear celery, it seems, is my flavor of choice.
Really? You just had the kind of green tint to you. So
I know. I just clicked over to the page. So yeah, this is the nuclear celery. I think it gives my skin a good glow.
Right. Well, apparently, Jeremy would be a eggplant because he's got a little purple tint at the moment. But
I'm wearing the eggplant one. But I have all 3, but I think I'm most relatable to eggplant.
Why? It makes me think of the eggplant wizard from Kid Icarus. I don't know.
The commercial, eggplant's wacky and...
Oh.
Oh, Neil's dead.
This has never happened before. It's happened twice during this one interview.
Very unprofessional, Neil.
Well, I think everyone knows that by now.
It's a ghost in your room.
It could be.
Yeah, you never know.
Brandi, do you have a favorite toot strudel? We'll go around for everybody here.
All right.
This is what people tune in for, the favorite toot strudel.
It's all about the toot strudels. People watch the movie just for the toot strudels. I would say watermelon. Got to go with watermelon.
Oh, it's the first watermelon we have here. I think that's like the most ordinary flavor of like a snack out of the 3.
Delicious, yummy.
Colby, do you have a favorite?
I think I only ate the watermelon one, so I have to.
So that was not your. I was just saying that's not your favorite, but.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't had the other one, so I guess I can only say the watermelon one. But I just didn't like them at all. So.
Seth.
Well, I mean, I'm repping the celery today.
Mm-hmm. You have the purple in the hair.
Yeah, and it just feels right. So I think I'm celery all the way.
All right. And Michael and Sophia, I think I already know their answers.
Oh shit. I think by my own humor, I think the celery is more my humor, but I think I have to pick watermelon because that was the original that I designed, and that was the original prop on set was the watermelon. So that's
I'm sorry, Nerf, that's a huge cat. It's like as big as Catherine.
It's bigger than King Ghidorah.
Yeah,
your cat is bigger than our dog.
He's a big,
oh my god! Yeah.
I know.
Catherine is much smaller than I remember. I don't know.
He's a street cat from Waterbury, Connecticut.
Oh,
where are the rest of your animals? Everybody.
All
right, all
right, jeez, that's like I have to use my legs to lift. God. All right, sorry.
Aww.
For anybody interested in Toot Strudels, other than pets,
there
which
is
I think
a
are great,
website,
tootstrudels.com, you can take the quiz and find out which Toot Strudel you are.
Mm-hmm.
And you can, oh, that's very cute. You can read more about the history of Toot Strudels, why they've been banned by the FDA.
They've been banned?
Yeah, the FDA has put a stop on selling Toot Strudels temporarily,
All right.
But, yeah, no, Toot Strudels, it's interesting how they became an important part of the movie. And I like the design for the atomic eggplant the best. Because I think the little eggplant with the like the radioactive hazmat suit.
Eggplant.
Yeah, I think it's pretty funny. I don't know. Our friend Brittany did a great job in the Toot Strudels infomercial. We had worked with her on another movie called Hipster Ghost, and she just came to mind as the person who should be the infomercial spokesmodel for Toot Strudels.
Ryan has the I'm sorry. Ryan is the tiniest cat. We have like the largest cat, and then we have the smallest cat.
Seth's in the middle. Ryan, why do you have this kitten?
Oh my god, that's so cute.
So my this is mine. My roommate's cat. Right when I moved in, got pregnant almost immediately. Had 2 kittens. So there's another one in there, and this is my little guy here. We don't have even named them yet. They're not even like.
They're fresh.
They're very fresh. They're very fresh. So.
Have you thought about Toot Strudel?
Toot and Strudel. How do you feel about Toot Strudel?
Maybe Frank Dobson.
I think it fits pretty well.
Detective Frank Dobson.
Yeah. Annabelle had mentioned in the chat that Frank Dobson was the Michael Scott of policemen.
That is the nicest thing anyone has ever said. All I can say, I mean, The Office is kind of like my religion, so thank you. Thank you.
And Brandi mentioned that the toughest for her to film was when Frank showed up, and I think it was because you had to move all around the room.
Yes, that was done in one take. It was supposed to appear, I think it was like supposed to be 2 different days kind of, but I had to get out of frame and change my shirt to make it appear like it was 2 different days. So that was challenging, but it was so worth it when I saw it, when the full movie was finished. It was awesome. I was like, that worked so well.
I love that scene so much. It's just everyone is so on, and it makes me so happy every time I see it.
Yeah,
I know, me too. I love Seth's facial expressions, and the mustache, the porn stash. That is like the porn stash needs like its own IMDb page because it is the best thing ever.
Yikes.
I agree, though.
They can all talk about it, but we had to for that scene. It involved the underwear throwing, hitting her in the face.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was a good. I mentioned it was a good shot.
Which was a challenging thing to pull off. So the underwear throwing, she ducks. The camera dollies across the room, stops at the door. Everybody quickly redecks the whole room to be a different day. Brandi changes her outfit. We pull the camera back out. And Seth appears. Oh, sorry, I have it a little messed up. But yeah, but there's 2 dollies and a change of set. A full set deck change. So
Tyler, our friend Tyler was on the set deck. You know Tyler anyhow.
Yeah.
So it was pretty involved. I mean, I don't know if they all suffered through it.
It took a while. Yeah.
It was
pretty much the minute one thing went wrong, we would just cut, because like if the underwear was wrong or like, you know, something went wrong, it was like there's no point to finish it out because it's like a 2-minute scene altogether.
I think there were 25 or 30 takes of
Oh my
that,
God.
but we just need one that works. It's like you get the one that's right and it's done. But it took 25 or 30 tries. A lot of it's the camera moving. There's a lot of moving parts. It wasn't like they messed it up. It was just like, if the thing doesn't land right, if the camera doesn't move correctly.
What was the reason to do it that way? Was it just that's the way it would work? Or was it a fun way?
Because we like to
make it difficult.
It's just fun to go from like
it is very fun seeing.
Yeah, it was like going from their original vlog together, like this is my new roommate, you know, so it goes from the vlog in the past, like however many years they've been learning together, then to the present of like their new issue and introducing Seth's character. So it just seemed like a fun camera idea to tell that story and to do that switch out. You know, like I think like throughout the script, we were looking for interesting ways to tell the story with the camera. So like the split diopter opening shot, that scene, the end music video, it's like we're trying to come up with like different ways to shoot it. And so that was just one of like the specialty shots we wanted, just to make it interesting.
Yeah, it's not just for fun too. It's a part of the storytelling. So we want to like show the contrast between what their relationship was then and now. And it's like the best way to do that is if you don't even have a cut, you're seeing the physical space transform in the moment from like what it was then to what it is now. And you're moving through the space with them, and you're pulling out in the space to reveal, the cop coming in and just running around like a maniac and so on. So it's fun, but it's also like a part of how the story is crafted. Like we're using the visual language to tell the story. I know, again, it's a goofy comedy horror movie, but we do care a lot about filmmaking as much as we can with our limited budget and time to present things in a way that is more meaningful.
Yeah. Matt, do you remember filming that scene? Shooting that scene?
I definitely remember. I feel like the additional sort of like stressful part of it too is just like in the middle where everything's being changed. It's even like we had to very carefully even like touching any like I can't remember if we just let it roll the whole time or if we like stopped and started back up.
Yeah, we did.
But yeah, it was even just like, all right, now until everything is set, like do not touch the camera, make sure everything's perfectly locked. And then like pulling focus also is always just somewhat stressful, and then even more so when it's like all this prep has been done in between shots that then it's like, oh shit, if you fuck it up, then those last like 15 minutes just went to waste.
Yeah. But we're here in the chat. Brian and Trista say the dog is very cute, getting its belly rubbed at the moment.
He's just like in full chicken mode right now.
We call this Chicken Man because he lays on his back like a chicken for belly rubs. He'll fall asleep like this. His head is like hanging off the edge. But his arms are in chicken mode.
Yeah, he's an old man, living a life of comfort now.
I love it. It also came up, people were asking about editing some of the scenes that are like dreamlike.
Dreamlike? That's...
Oh, yeah. I mean, you go in, you shoot a bunch of source stuff, so kind of like what you're working with. And then you sit down and you say, like, how am I going to piece this together to tell the story? And I think, Colby talked earlier about the doing the shower scenes, shooting that, and we talked a little bit how it was sped up. I think we talked here, maybe in the chat, I don't know. We shot at a very high frame rate, so it looks like slow motion, but in order to make it have the dialogue work over that, she had to talk really quickly. And the dialogue was like 5 times the speed, so it's barely even, you really can't even understand it. You just have to say the words like almost at an impossible speed. And so we took that, those shots, and then we tried to craft around it what the visual language is, what the metaphor is with the mask and with the other elements. So I just sat down and I edited the movie, so I guess that's my responsibility and fault. And I just tried to figure out how I wanted to craft that scene to be something that I thought worked. And I love music videos. We've done a lot of music videos, so you probably see a lot of music video influence in everything we do, including the ending, which is obviously basically a music video. I don't know. I mean, it's we love surreal stuff. We love kind of art film. Again, goofy comedy horror movie, but we're like, let's have some art film elements in the middle. Let's have some, breaking the fourth wall engagement with the camera. So like the camera we're in the dream world. Nothing has to be realistic in that space. We love the idea that they shared a dream world. We thought it was like really interesting to have them like basically, they each fall asleep and have these dreams where they're interacting and they're having conversations and stuff. So it's really like a shared dream, and it's a shared representation of the psyche of the movie. It's a very, again, I'm sounding pretentious with all of this stuff, but it's a very like Hitchcocky kind of thing, or people mentioned De Palma, to use like the kind of, I don't think it's even really scientific psychology, but it's all those the psychological theory, like the Freudian theory and other things to craft the interactions in the world. So we thought that it would be fun to do it in that space, and that surreal moment to use these kind of like weird psychology elements to present the story. So anyway, that's kind of the approach.
Does that make the movie a hard sell, like when you're going to the festivals and distributor, like, because it doesn't, to me it doesn't matter, but does it like fit into like any particular genre?
Like, cool, you have a Halloween party in the beginning.
No, they like
Anyway, like production value. No, but we did have some trouble because like when people go into something expecting like a slasher, they're like, this isn't a slasher, I'm angry now. And like, so you get a lot of that, and we've gotten that with all of our movies because they're never quite what you think they're going to be, and I think that's a good thing. But people get very stubborn about what their expectations were and then what they've been delivered rather than just having an experience. So certainly that's an issue. Sometimes the super horror gore fest, we're like, it's a silly comedy. We're not going to show this at our horror festival. So generally, like the underground, like festivals with the word underground in them, tend to like us a little bit more because they're a little bit more open to the weirdness. But like those are our people, so it's just finding the weirdos for us.
Those are festivals I like. So
somebody at one of the fests, somebody said like, "Oh, this is kind of like a Paul Bartel movie. It's like a weird satire, like he did Eating
Raoul or something."
Eating Raoul, yeah. Sorry, I was blanking on it. He did Death Race 2000, which is one of my favorite movies. But
I love it too. Then all the sequels, oh my god.
Yeah, I think somebody was really referencing Eating Raoul. That like it has that the characters are like they feel kind of realistic enough to relate to, but they're definitely in their own little world. And there's definitely a lot of like the dialogue comedy and the situational comedy tied to that. And I appreciate that. I think that's a great, I don't think we went in thinking like we're going to make a Paul Bartel movie, but like Paul Bartel, I love Mary Warnov, I love all those kind of people who are really basically doing the kind of performances that you see in this movie. But like you say, then you send that to a horror fest and they're just like, Neil, you have fights all the time. People are like, "That's not a horror movie."
Yeah, they get like, mad and block me and over like the over. Yeah, I said that Predator is a horror movie, and they're like, "No, it's a science fiction action."
We don't care.
It can be.
We really don't care. Like we're just we don't care what genre the movie is. We care about making a movie that we think is interesting and is going to entertain people and be thoughtful in some way. But it did, I think we went in thinking this would be like a kind of a little more mainstream than it turned out.
Yeah, Michael kind of sold this to me, like, we have to do a mainstream film so like be taken seriously by whoever.
And then we fucked it up.
And then like, we get in there and it's total insanity. But I think interesting, like for production design and for world building, this is our first movie that wasn't a period piece. And so, but all the same things applied that usually apply in my filmmaking, which is like building the world that exists, like Streaker is in the world, Two Steels are in the world. So it's like, it was easier in some ways to film because we could film real cars and have it be in present day, but I still did all the world building I did in our previous vampire movie and our previous sci-fi films. So, so it's just like, it's totally separate from what people, like if you watch like a more mainstream social media thriller that are out there, it's definitely its own thing.
It's also shaped.
It does not exist in reality.
It's shaped a lot by the performances too, because like the way I always describe it is when you're making like an indie film, directing is basically like standing at the front of a train that has gone off a cliff and pretending like you have any ability to steer it. You're just like, yeah, I've got this, we've got this. It's all, it's totally under control. And really, like you're just letting the thing happen.
Well, you're depending on the people that you've brought on, and you're trusting them to do a good job, and everybody did. So.
Right, but you basically lean into whatever the strengths are that everybody has brought to the movie. So rather than fighting to say like, this is the movie we intended. We're going to fight against all of you to make that movie. Or like, what can you bring? And then how can we embrace what you've brought to make the movie the best it can be? And, I've said it, it sounds like I'm just like bullshitting people, but I really do think everybody brought things to the movie that we didn't know were going to be there, but that, that made it better, made it special. Can I ask everybody a question? Neil, am I allowed to?
Of course, yeah.
Can I interview?
Yeah.
I'm curious, on this front, this is related to this. I'm curious from everybody, what about how it turned out was similar to what you expected and what was different from being on set and being involved?
Call on someone.
We'll start with Ryan.
Well, definitely different. I had no idea what was going to come with like the toot strudel stuff and the extra stuff we shot. I didn't realize it was going to be such a large part of the film too. So when I saw that was like really exciting and cool. And something that I thought was going to turn out the way it did was the blood coming out of the trail mask, because I was standing literally right off camera watching that, and that was amazing to see like in person, and then for it to come out that well, like I love that scene. It was great. It was absolutely great. So those are my two there.
Matt.
I think for me, maybe the shower dream sequence stuff turned out sort of the most, like wasn't exactly how I thought it would be, but turned out similarly to what I had thought, just like doing all the slow motion and stuff. And I feel definitely the two strudel stuff, but I don't know, sort of the tone of that and like the tone of the ending was just a little bit different. And to me, I am one of the people that like thinks it's really funny. So like I don't know, I didn't originally realize like even that whole sequence leading up to it was like going to be that entertainingly funny.
And Brandi.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think when I read the script, there's a huge difference in reading a script and then actually seeing it on screen. It was just, gosh, yeah, that's a really good question. I don't quite know how to describe it, but I think when you read a script, you have an idea in your head, and then when you actually act it out and see it on camera, it comes out, it just blows your expectations. And it is as good as it was on script. Once you see it on screen, it's like, it just is out of this world. It's pretty freaking awesome to see it from script to screen.
Colby.
I think I had honestly no idea this was going to be a comedy. Like I thought.
Oh, really? Interesting.
It was a horror movie. Like I knew that there was like little jokes in between, but like I didn't know that it was going to be as comedic as it ended up like being. And I love it, obviously, but I definitely didn't know that. I definitely didn't know that there was going to be a lot of like satirical elements to it. And then I think the thing that I was expecting, the shower scene, I envisioned it like that, and then it came out to be that way. So that was like the same thing that Matt said. It was also like very exciting to see, because I definitely envisioned that when I first read the script. Other than that, though, everything kind of was like completely different. Like Michael gave us a lot of range to like play with things. Like it wasn't like exactly straight towards the script. Like we got to like kind of move things around a little bit, which was fun. So yeah, I had a great time doing it.
Catherine.
I think originally when I didn't get the script maybe originally, but I knew that Michael and Sophia were describing what the movie was. And so when I first saw it, the first rough cuts that I saw, I was like, oh wow. I mean, first of all, I thought it was awesome because you guys did an awesome job, everybody, in terms of like your acting and how you presented things. Brandi, you were like absolutely terrifying at the end, and Colby at the end when you were screaming, I was like, oh my God, I've got to turn this down. It's killing me because it's so real. And Seth, you know, and everybody, Ryan, everybody was awesome. So, but originally when Michael and I were going back and forth with ideas, I think I had presented some ideas based on what we were talking about. And then, you know, when you see something that's, you know, final cut, I think, and we're both in the same room, things shifted a little bit. And I can see where there was that more, maybe less Goblin and frizzy, more John Carpenter-ish, I think, as far as like how things were starting to, like, I felt like how we were putting things together and, you know, basing everything around a heartbeat, the breath, the stalking theme. But I also felt like some of it, there was I don't know, one part of like the themes that we were coming up with, I thought was a little spy-ish. I don't know. Maybe that's that. I mean, if you put that together a little quicker, it could be a James Bond kind of like spy theme a little bit because it's a stalker mystery, that sort of thing. So, you know, that was my take. But in the end, I mean, you know, we're doing things like in sections, some scenes over and over. So when I saw the final movie, I was blown away by how everything sounded. It really sounded amazing. I thought that all the little pieces that, you know, Michael had put together for just like, you know, the drips and the shower scene when there's blood coming down. It's like it really, I mean, I thought it came together really awesome. So a little bit different than maybe what I and envision, but I try to have a blank slate, you know, and try to work as best as I can with whatever they want and whatever they're describing. I try to put it down. So that's my 5 cents.
Jeremy.
Geez, I mean, so much of it was a new experience to me when I saw the movie, but I was blown away by the performances mainly. Like when you're working on a script, and in Michael's words, kind of creating this world and these characters, which then him and Sophia then changed and added onto and made even better. You're just hoping that, you know, whoever's chosen, and since I wasn't part of that process and not on the set quite as often, you're just hoping that who is chosen for these roles just kind of like understand where you're coming from, and obviously there's room for improv and stuff too, which they had a lot of liberties with as well, from what I'm hearing during this Q&A. But I was just blown away with all the performances, and just it was just, there's parts where it exceeded my expectations from what I had when I read the script and wrote the script, to being, you know, kind of like, oh, good, they understood what I had there, and I really liked it. So that was really my favorite part.
Seth.
I mean, you know, I kind of touched on this a little bit before, but it was just like, and Colby made a really good point about this too. It was really surreal in a way. Like, you know, I flew out for the shoot, and then I flew back to the East Coast. So I also had this like, and when we were shooting it, much like Colby said, I had this impression of like my role is often to sort of, you know, chew up some scenery and offer like some comic relief or do like the sort of over the top character. So I was all about that. And I'm like, oh, cool, I'm going to be like the sort of goofball character in this. And I had no idea that it was going to be like this completely satirical movie at first. It was sort of like, oh, I'm going to be like the goofy character in this otherwise, you know, pretty serious horror film with some dramatic elements, I think. And then came home, and then sort of more and more of like the toot strudel stuff. And I was like, this is not going to be what I thought it was going to be. And then seeing it was like a cathartic experience of like, I mean, to be honest, because you never know when you're working on something, of like relief mixed with just like joy, because not only was I relieved, oh my God, it isn't like, I didn't like, you know, do something wrong, or like it isn't this completely different thing than what I thought. It's actually like exactly the kind of film that I've always enjoyed my whole life. I mean, the kind of like screwball satire mixed genre thing has always been my favorite thing. So being able to sort of be able to be part of that, and not even really knowing that's what we were doing at the time, is just like the gift of gifts. I don't know. Mm-hmm. it was so much fun, and it's such a cool movie. So,
Mike,
no, go ahead. What were you
I
gonna?
was just gonna ask, do you have an answer to that your own question? Like,
Yeah,
how
well,
different
no,
was it?
I was gonna respond maybe to everybody else's statements, but the way I try to approach it, especially because I'm doing the editing, and I think the editor has a big role in crafting a movie normally. And what I try to do as an editor, even though it's like, this is our, we kind of did the pre-production, we did the production, now we're like looking at this final thing. I try to erase any expectations about what it is that we've made in production and try to look at what we've done and what we've created, and then try as an editor, as sort of a third party kind of person, to craft it into the best possible thing I can, to lean into the stuff that turned out the best, de-emphasize the stuff that I don't think turned out the best, sell the strengths of everybody's performances the best I can, and so on. So I do think, we knew during production that we were shaping it in different ways, but even, in the editing stage, I think it was heavily shaped, in post-production it was heavily shaped. And I think a lot of the comedy stuff really came from what you all brought on set. It's true that I think we went in, it's always hard. You're balancing different tones, you're balancing different styles. And I think we went in thinking it would be a horror comedy, and it ended up a little more like a comedy horror. But so it is, hopefully that, I think that as the editor, as the post-production kind of side of things goes, hopefully made the best movie out of what we made in production. So I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah. Did you ever reply to anything else that people said about an answer to your question?
No, I think that's all. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
nobody said anything too offensive. No.
All right. How about Sophia? How different did the movie come out than you thought originally?
I think, because I'm so close to it and, there every second of the way, it definitely got shaped a lot. And I think, like I was saying originally, Mike pitched it to me, like, this is just going to be, like, a very mainstream, straight-ahead horror. And then, like, what it became through production and then editing is very different from that. And it's, like, something I like a lot more because I love the stuff. I love RoboCop. I love things with commercials. I love satire. Mm-hmm. So it turned into something, like, I appreciate a lot more, especially adding the thematic stuff. So I'm pretty happy in the end, like, carrying it through the whole way. But just, like, the initial germ of an idea of, like, when it was first pitched to me because, like, Michael met up with Brandi without me because I was, like, away or something, I think, or working or something. And so it was just, like, it was just kind of brought to me as, like, this is the thing we're doing and this is, like, what it is, versus what it became, which is, like, something I actually care about. As opposed to, like, I don't like mainstream straight-ahead horror, but I was like, whatever, we'll make it. I don't care. But, like, it became something that, like, I'm more proud of, I think.
But, and like I said, I think it's really important because filmmakers, a lot of times you start with a vision and then you fight to see that vision through. And I think that's important, but there's a balance to that you have to make sure that you are making the best thing based on what is going on. And that doesn't always match the original vision. You have to be flexible. And I think a lot of the performances change and everybody brought, their little pieces. I think we, as Colby mentioned, we did allow, there were questions about, like, do we have to do the words exactly as in the script? And of course I was like, no, make it the most authentic, best thing that kind of fits what that is. And I think, everybody did bring something to that, made it better.
Certainly.
Yeah.
So if you weren't here tonight, where can people go and see Clickbait?
It's on all the major platforms, especially Amazon and Tubi. You can. It's
the Blu out yet?
There is a Blu-ray of it that was part of Horror Pack. I think they're selling a few right now. I think they have a few copies available on their Pop-Up Pack site, but it's not like fully publicly out on Blu-ray. Seth is showing you the Blu-ray.
He has the one copy. Huh?
It's coming out on DVD in a few weeks, but I don't know if I have, or next week maybe. I don't know that I have strong things to say about the DVD release. I would maybe not recommend that. But
if you go to our website, like our production company is called Launchover. So if you go to launchover.com, you can click on Clickbait and it'll show you everywhere that you can stream it. It's just a big list. But probably, yeah, like you were saying, like Amazon and Tubi are probably the easiest.
Yeah.
It's free on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, and I think it's going to have a Blu-ray. I mean, these are all complicated discussions, most of which you'll see the various disappointments on my face regarding, but
I'm sorry to laugh.
That's okay. Yeah. The world of film, I think I mentioned earlier that making movies is a terrible idea, but probably the worst part about filmmaking right now is distribution. And things just get worse and worse every day with that in terms of what is financially sensible or viable. It's easy to get a movie out. Like you can watch the movie on Amazon and Tubi. So there you go. Go watch it. Thanks.
Buy a t-shirt.
Buy a t-shirt.
We get $1.
Did anyone, since Michael had a question for everyone, does anyone have a question for Michael or anyone else here?
Oh.
They're going to be shy.
You can air your grievances.
Air your grievances.
Right now.
Question or comment?
I can't. We're all in quarantine, so I can't chase you down. I can't hunt you down.
Were there any? Did you shoot any Toot Strudel videos that, for whatever reason, like, did you go like real weird with it with some stuff that didn't go in? Is there some cutting room floor that didn't even make the deleted scenes? That's just amazing that we'll never see. That I guess that's my.
I think everything we shot is a deleted scene on the Blu-ray at least, and then and some other stuff is on the Streaker website. But like Mike was saying in the chat, like the Mrs. Wilson thing was initially like a hot dog, and it was just like too much. Like it's too gross and weird. And then we're like, well, why isn't it a two-strudel? Like it was just stupid. It was a bad idea. It wasn't well thought out on our end, so we reshot it. But I think the weirdest one is definitely Matt's, and we shot that much later. We just like, Matt, show up at our apartment. And then he showed up to like candlelight.
People cannot handle it.
Oh, they can't. It's hilarious.
I mean, there's always stuff that goes on the cutting room floor. Like a lot of the scenes, there's dialogue that was shortened.
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of dialogue that was cut to streamline it. You just try, again, as an editor, you're like, well, how do I make this better? How do I get rid of stuff? Like what? And this will sound critical of acting, and it's not. There's always stuff that just doesn't play the way that you thought it would play in the script. You're like, this is going to work great, and then you see the performances, and you're like, probably it just wasn't good in the first place. Is usually
that's the thing, like with indie film too, is like we didn't have rehearsals. We didn't like we read the script aloud to ourselves, but we didn't sit down with the actors and hear them say the words until we were on set. So it was like, even while some of it was happening, I was like, well, we're going to cut that. So that's fine. Like in my brain, I was like, just keep going. It's fine. So, but it was just like more that there wasn't time to like workshop it ahead of time. And luckily everybody brought their A game to set and then gave us plenty to work with.
That's always standard though. Cutting dialogue is very standard.
But like a lot of people practice for 6 months, like before a shoot, and we didn't have that luxury.
So yeah, there's nothing really. All the deleted scenes are on the Blu-ray or on the Streaker website. There a lot of the scenes have extended dialogue, but they were cut. The dialogue was cut because it made the movie worse. So it's not like nothing's missing. Nothing's missing that I think anybody needs to see.
Well, maybe did we film the scene with Ryan and Professor Vargas?
Yeah.
That was actually so that
it's
was
on the Blu-ray.
A full scene that was cut.
It's on Blu-ray.
But there's not many full scenes.
A lot of deleted.
Yeah.
There's a few things that are on the Blu-ray that are deleted scenes. But yeah, they don't make the movie better. There was a scene with Ryan and Professor Vargas that was cut. There was a scene with Emma and Bailey talking about who the killer. We had some concerns. It's actually funny because we had some concerns about how much we had to worry about red herring misdirect stuff in the movie, even though that wasn't really the focus. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times when you're making a movie, you're like, well, we got to do all this stuff, but our heart's not really in it. And then you put it in the movie and you shoot it, and you're like, yeah, this sucks because nobody's heart is in doing this thing. Like we just felt like we had to. And I think I will say, even at the time, this one scene that is cut, I think it might be on the Blu-ray. I think Colby even said, like, the scene is really bad. Like, I think you even said the scene was bad. And I'm like, it is bad. You're right. And we're going to shoot it anyway. And it'll probably get cut. And sure enough, it was cut. Like, it's true. But that's fine. That's okay. Like, we shot it. On paper, it wasn't great. In practice, it wasn't great. In the edit, it wasn't great. So you take it out of the movie, I think that is on the Blu-ray. You can see it, but it's not. The reason the movie's edited the way it is, we didn't have like studio execs demanding that we cut things out of the movie that we thought were great. If we cut it out of the movie, it's because we thought it made the movie worse. We tried to make the best movie we could. So.
Yeah. I remember when you first finished it, you sent it to me and was asking me like if I could figure out who the killer was and all these questions, and it really didn't seem important when I watched it, but I understand why you were asking me. Yeah.
Like, at what point is it clear to you?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I sort of hope, I said in the chat, but I sort of hope that in terms of the twist, the idea is to make it like it's a mystery, but the answer to the mystery is so obvious that you as a viewer are like, oh, this movie is so obvious that you figure it out and you don't even think about the fact that there's this like secondary piece to it. So we give you such an easy mystery to solve that you just think you're smart, and then you just haven't been paying attention enough to. So that's the goal. That's the structuring of it. And I think that works for a lot of people. I mean, probably some people figure it out. Probably some people don't care. It's not important. To me, the point is not to solve the mystery. The point is to like have an experience with it. But, a lot of people have said that they thought the twist was a surprise and that the ending was a surprise. That the fact that she runs in and kills him was a surprise. So I'm happy with that. Yeah. That's all I got. I don't know.
It's a good question, Seth. Anybody else have a question for Michael and Sophia, or anyone else involved? I think we're good. All right.
They're all like, get out of here, go away.
Well, I had a great time. I've seen this movie many times, and I enjoyed every time. And it was very cool to watch it with everybody in the Without Your Head group. And thanks everyone for doing it.
Thanks for setting this up, Neil. It was a lot of fun for me.
We're all sitting around like, I don't know, everybody.
We're not doing nothing. We're watching the Mary Tyler Moore show 24 hours a day.
Oh my God. I'm watching Golden Girls. I'm watching Golden Girls with my mom when I go home to Connecticut, so she loves it.
We're basically pretty bummed right now, so anything that brings a little bit of joy for a few hours is awesome. So thank you for setting this up. It's actually awesome. We have not seen many of the people who are here. We have not seen since shooting the movie, believe it or not. And so it's really, I know this doesn't really count as seeing, but it's really nice to be in a space. And I hope that when we're allowed to go outside again, that we can actually, maybe we can all, some of us can get together in real life.
Brandi and I were both in England at the same time, but we did not see each other.
And I was so upset. I was like, because transportation is kind of complicated in London.
Right.
And
it's very similar to the T in Boston, so I actually got used to it very quickly. But it really is.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, no, me and my friend that I went with, because we kind of wanted to do two different things, but I, didn't want to be alone in a foreign country that I'm not.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. Yeah.
But I wanted to hang out with you so bad, and you were tagging yourself on Facebook, and I want to go there. Where in London is that? But London is a huge city.
Yeah. We rented a place that said 15 minutes from the heart of London, but I don't know how. Maybe by jet plane, but an hour and a half, I think.
Maybe the heart isn't in the center. The heart's right.
Center of London. I was trying to meet up with Neil, and I'm just I am not good with public transportation because here in LA, I'm an LA native. Here in LA, everyone just drives their own car. We don't really have a great public transportation system. So, yeah, it was kind of tough for us to find, I think they call it the Tube in London.
Yeah.
It was cool in London, though. I miss it.
Mind the gap, as they say, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I had a great time, and I know you want to go back, but so let's see. Everyone can say how you can follow them, online, not to your homes, unless you want people to follow you to your homes. I don't know. That's your own deal. I don't know. Seth, where can people follow you?
I try to keep it pretty low key on Facebook, but you can find me on Instagram at Sethus McTree. It's Seth US McTree.
Well, is there a story behind McTree?
I
kind of like it. I kind of like using the fake mix, whatever.
I started putting making everything Scottish. I don't know why. I just thought it was funny.
Fair enough. I don't know.
I wish I had a better. I wish I had a better thing. But I have a private page. But I'll probably accept you, and it'll be cool. So.
All right. Yeah. Hopefully, I've been waiting years for you to accept me. Jeremy, where can people follow you?
I'm still waiting for Seth to accept me. Too. I'm just my name, Jeremy Long. All the platforms is just my name. And if you want to come to my house, if you can find it, you're welcome to.
All right, fair enough. Yeah. And I didn't just mean Instagram. I'm just waiting for him to accept me as a human being.
I love you so much.
Catherine, where can people follow you?
Well, you can follow me on Facebook, Catherine Capozzi. But there's two Catherine Capozzis. One is family page, which I use only for immediate blood relatives, but catherinecapozzi.com, and it leads to all the various things that I'm doing or trying to do, but do not follow me to my house. That's a very bad idea.
Yeah. That's probably a good blanket statement for everyone.
Yeah.
Colby.
Instagram's the best for me, so it's at a.colbystewart. That's where you can find me.
Very good. Ryan.
So under anything, I'm just Ryan James Hilt. You can find me on any social media that way. Ryan James Hilt. That's the way to go.
Matt.
Sort of the same, just basically my name, Matt Stuertz, on all of the social medias, and I rarely post, but occasionally I will post something.
It's very important if you do.
Oh, yeah.
Well, very good. Brandi.
Yeah, I'm annoying. I'm on everything. Yeah, I'm like the social media slut, I swear. I have two Facebooks. One is my private Facebook for friends and family, and then I have my public Facebook, which is official Brandi Aguilar. I'm on TikTok as Brandi_Aguilar. On Instagram, I'm Pixie Brandi. Brandi spelled with an I, by the way. My parents wanted to be different. And I'm on YouTube under Weird Brandi, and I'm on Twitter, just my regular name, Brandi Aguilar. I feel like I'm missing one. I think I'm on pretty much everything but Pinterest.
I'll find you on Friendster.
Yes, Bebo, MySpace. add me on your top 8 on MySpace.
Definitely. I tried to log in, but I actually couldn't even figure out how to log in. It's still there, but I don't know how to log in.
Yeah, I forgot my password. That was like all of high school for me. Good times, man.
Yeah, I don't think there was even an internet when I was in high school. So.
No, yeah.
I'm a very old man.
I was a little kid, but yeah, it was fun.
Michael and Sophia, where can people follow you?
Mainly, for the most important stuff, it's King Ghidorah the dog on Instagram.
Yeah, no, it has become. I agree, though. It has become one of my favorites.
People kept bugging. They were like, "Why aren't you posting more pictures of your dog?"
We didn't want to annoy
and we didn't want to annoy everybody, so we made a separate
opt-in.
It's an opt-in. Yeah. No, seriously, we're at our.
I'm like, I don't want to be annoyed. I just want to follow the dog.
Yeah, well, right. They don't want to follow us. That's what I mean by being annoyed. They're like, we want to follow the dog, but not you guys. No, we're at. Launchover is our company, so that's on all the social media, and then under our names everywhere. Sophia, Cacciola, Michael J. Epstein.
Yeah.
And we're pretty active on, especially Facebook and Instagram a bit, and then I guess I sometimes go to Twitter when I'm feeling like I want to suffer.
I have one question for Mike and Sophia. What is the name that you call your dog? Is it the full name? Does he know his name, or like? What does he come to?
That's an interesting question.
He doesn't care.
He does not care.
He's like Snoopy. Snoopy. No.
His adoption. I call it. We have so many nicknames for him, but his adoption name was Roo Bear, and that was way too cute. And then we decided he looked like the monster from Godzilla, King Ghidorah. So he's a monster from Godzilla with 3 heads.
But we call him really whatever.
Oh,
mostly I call him Dummy.
I call him Lover a lot, which really creeps Michael out. So,
All right, I just needed to know that because I was like, that's a long name for
All
the
he
dog.
cares about.
That
all
is
he
it.
cares
That's a
about
good
is rub
question
his
I
belly
brought
and
up.
treats. That's really all that we know.
Right, that's my cats too. But
All we do, he doesn't respond to calls.
No, he
just
doesn't
responds
respond to
tweets.
anything. He's 8 years old. He doesn't give a shit. So
right, I can relate.
Possibly as old as 10.
Yeah.
Somewhere between 8 and 10.
Okay.
He's just like, you got treats?
You're my person. You got treats. You're my person.
No, he's
Yep.
he's a sweet boy, and we
yeah.
we call him King Ghidorah.
Okay.
I love that video that you posted on Facebook of him sleeping and his like eyes are rolling in the back of his head.
Yeah.
He's like,
This is what happened to us when we were
This is the
quarantine. We're like, well, we wanted a dog, but we never had time to take care of a dog. Now we're not allowed to make movies for like a year, so let's just get a dog. It's just as good. And it turns out it's better than making movies. So if you're ever thinking about making movies, just get a dog and skip the movies altogether.
This is the whole moral of this: is don't make movies and get a dog.
Yeah, just get a cuddly old man dog and hang out with him.
All right. Well, I hope to meet the dog someday. I've met both of you, and I hope to meet you guys again too. Not that I don't want to do that.
Well, the dog is better than us, honestly. So I don't blame you.
Yeah. Well, we can never leave the house again because he gets very angry. So everybody's going to have to come to us.
Yeah, very severe separation anxiety.
Yeah,
it's over.
Oh my god, I'll come. I can't wait to get on a plane and get out of here for a second.
He's probably got 5 years or so to live, maybe a little more. So if you want us to go out or do anything, you'll have to wait 5+ years.
He reminds me. I had a min pin for over 20 years. So
okay, well then maybe 12 more years to live. I don't know.
Right.
So either way, we're stuck at home hanging out with him for the next 12 years then.
Right. Fair enough.
Which is fine. I mean, I say that not negatively.
Well, I hope so. Yeah.
He's very
He's
lovable.
listening. He's right there. He does.
He's a very sweet pup. Like.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's been very fun, and thanks everyone for doing this, and for everyone for watching.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
You all.
Great to see everybody.
Yeah,
bye, everybody. And I always feel guilty about this, but to save this, I have to hang up on everybody. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna hang up on you. Bye.
All right, bye.
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 Yeah.